Hey guys, welcome to my chess stream here. It's Blitz in Classical Chess, Monday morning on Twitch and lichess. Yesterday I had my simul on Sunday. It was good. 25 players, 40-40 time control, lasted 3 hours exactly to the last game with Aldisto finished. We won 16, lost 4, and drew 5, I think. Usually there's a couple people who don't really finish the game, so it's always like 23 games instead of 25. But what can I do? I can't weed them out. Anyway, guys, Monday morning we're playing Blitz and Classical Chess here. Monday is usually 5+3 through 8+3. Any kind of challenge you want to give me, casual challenge with a 5-minute to 8-minute base time, and a 3 to 5 second increment, so I can have time to commentate and talk about the game. I've got challenges from 2-3 players here. Mastermind 14 Aura Knight, who was gone for a long time. Looked at his account, he says he's back. A lousy dirty cheater, for lack of a better way to pronounce that, who has played us numerous times here on the stream of late. So in a second we're gonna get started. I was trying to do a problem or two to kind of wake myself up, but I couldn't solve this one problem. I was like halfway through it. I found the first move and then I got stuck on the second move. Ayesta, what's up? Ayesta played, I think, the best of the wins against me yesterday. There were 4 games that I lost. One of them was kind of really clear. I thought the game against Ayesta was a good beginning to end game by Ayesta. The other guys kind of were a little bit luckier. Like I kind of got tired and started making mistakes in good positions. But Ayesta, I made a strategic mistake against him. I think I really tried to play kind of anti-positionally. So fair enough. Good strategic win against me, Ayesta. I never really had a chance in that game, it feels like, once I played for F3. Once I played C5 for that matter. Once I allowed E4, I mean, it was a nice job by you. So nice game. We might as well just get started with Mastermind 14, 8+3. A nice slow game. I lost to Troll on a roll, who rarely plays in my simuls. I don't know why, because he just doesn't like long games, or he usually likes to play chess 960. I had a very, very strong position against him and lost. And a couple other games. So, Mastermind 14, alright. I'm not really fully awake yet, so I'm not going to play anything like E4 till a little later in the stream. Stuff that can get theoretical. Here, I'm just playing my repertoire, which is G3. I don't like C4 that much. I used to play C4, the proper Reti, but after C4, D4, I just don't think that white has any advantage. You know, at least here, there's like a chance to get like a kind of small initiative. Rapport Ritchie played C4 against Nair. He's the last strong player I've seen play it. He got an interesting and sharp position against Nair. Ended up winning, though. I think that Nair was better. Let's see. C5. So C5 is different. C5. I could even play D4 against C5. It's an interesting move. Like D4, pawn takes pawn, knight takes pawn. And if E5, there's justification to like black having moved the pawn twice. I think Petrosian even played D4 here. But probably best to just castle and wait and see what black does next move. I'm not sure I'm winning till you resign. Yeah, I guess that. Well, it was no way to get my other rook in the game, and I was down material. My king is open. I was mentioning that there was a game that Aliokim played like in that kind of structure, but in that case his king was on the queen side. I'm basically playing like a winnower, where I'm playing a winnower type of structure, where I'm playing F3 with white, as if I was playing the French defense and the opening lines like on the side where my king is. It's not really a good idea. Sometimes you can castle queenside in the winnower French and then play like F6, but it has to be a special situation. All right, so this could transpose to the Tarrasch, to a Catalan actually. Yeah, you guys, it's the Tarash or semi-Tarash now. Now, bishop e7, though. I think bishop e7 is supposed to be inaccurate. I can take on d5 and take on c5. So you have to take on d4 there and then play bishop e7. Well, you don't have to do anything but pay taxes and die. And that's just, you know, in some countries. C takes d4. We're transposing back to the Tarash. Yeah, e takes d5. I mean, d takes c5. Should I play that now? It's not really forced. I mean, this is considered by some to be the best move, I guess. I'm not really convinced it's necessarily better than playing knight c3, though. We gain a tempo, essentially. So there's an argument for it. I guess it's like mainline. What are the countries where you don't have to die? That's a good one, Goofy Gumdrops. I knew somebody was going to be smart about it. Yeah, there was a hole in that statement. Okay, so now bishop g5 is probably like mainline. I could also play b3, but it's more passive than playing bishop g5. b3 basically transposes to a reverse line. I would play with black sometimes with the double fianchetto, but I think the double fianchetto is nice. It's not as sharp as bishop g5. This is technically the recommended move. Black's playing a slightly unpopular order of moves where he's kind of, I don't know, do you call it like losing half a tempo? What do you call this? Does he lose a whole tempo or half tempo? What is a half tempo anyway? I hear people say that sometimes. Okay, bishop takes f6, queen takes f6, knight e4, or knight e4 straight away. Knight e4 straight away, bishop e7 seems like kind of okay for black. I mean, I guess everything is playable for him here. How bad is this? Knight e4. Truthfully, it may not be that bad. You could even play bishop takes f6 and knight d5. That seems kind of stupid. I'm not even sure how much I have here, really. I may have one time on the stream had this exact position against a player. But I still don't know where the jury sits on this. Speaking of. Never mind. The grammar police. You think queen h5 was wrong? I guess he's talking about his game. You guys are going to have no clue what he's talking about. Yeah, my queen h5 was wrong. My intention there like instantaneously after I made that move, I thought, God, I should have put my queen on g4. But, you know, who knows? So Mastermind seems to know this. Theoretically, black might be fine here. And if that's the case, I'm not sure what I did wrong. As I said earlier, I can play b3, or I can not take on c5. I mean, okay, it's not a very exciting position for black. He has an isolated pawn and has allowed a lot of exchanges, but he still has enough space that I think that it's playable for black. This slightly weakens my king side. I don't know if it's a good move or not. But I didn't really like him going queen h5, to be honest. This will take away that possibility. Because I felt like then he could really settle in. My first reaction was to play rook c1 straight away. Then he plays queen h5 and it's kind of awkward. for me. I'm not necessarily going to go for his bishop with g4. I could play g4 here. Exchange sacrifice on c6. It's not outside the realm of possibility, but it looks a little extreme. Okay, I'm kind of looking forward to seeing what the opening explorer says about this line. I feel like I made a small inaccuracy somewhere. It's just so weakening the king side to play g4. I just don't know about that. Though this may be my last chance to do it if I want to. Part of me wants to play like, sort of laughing, but knight e1 to d3, it's too passive. Rook d1, just rook d8. What about rook c4? Rook c4. I mean, I'm going to lose on time if I don't do something quick here. Rook c4, bishop takes f3. Well, that's not the end of the world, but Mastermind I haven't played lately. I really like the way he's handled the opening. Seems to know exactly what he's doing. I have a very good score against him, as you can see there. I feel like it's almost diss to have that score down there, though. Why do they have to have that? That's so weird. It's hard for people who have like 1 point out of 99 to like look at the game and see that they constantly have to see they have 1 point out of 99. I'm not sure that that feature should be necessarily like always there. It's hard for the players who've lost a lot of games to a superior player to constantly look at the fact that their score is bad. Masterminds is bad, but it's not as bad as some. You know, I have like some players who are like 2100 that I'm like 20-0 against. Well, I'm exaggerating, probably like 10-0. Okay, Mastermind just blundered. It's really weird. I mean, it's kind of hallucination. Like not counting that d4 was protected 3 times. I actually thought, like, you know, there was a chance this would happen. It's pretty bizarre. Oh yes, queen takes rook. The rook ending is not that bad. It's not that good. It's probably lost. But it's going to take some technique. Oh, he was being pedantic. Yeah, it's not about grammar. But he was right. I mean, like, you know, the joke didn't make sense in terms of countries where you can stop yourself from dying. Mastermind 14, what are you doing? Oh my god. You're like giving me a rook? No. Let's give him a take back. It's a casual game. You can't give me a rook, man. Let's see if you can hold this rook ending. I think it's a better option, yeah. I thought that was the plan all along. Apparently not. This is an awkward situation. You know, like f6, rook d7, rook f7 would be nice, but I guess that's a lost king and pawn ending. I would assume having an extra doubled pawn, unless his king was in like awesome position. I'm about to sneeze, guys, so please excuse me if I do. What's up, guys? Yeah, he wasted a tempo there. That's going to be pretty costly. I don't know if I should even move my f-pawn. Maybe the most important thing is getting my king in the game directly. King e8, rook c7. He could move like a6 maybe, or something like that. It's not that trivial to win this, as my extra pawn is a double pawn. But he's pretty tied down to those guys over there, so what's he gonna do? Like a6, b5? Maybe I play a4 now? Then he'll play a5. Wonderful. If I played b4, doesn't really help. So the plan is for him to play b6 or b5. What is my plan, objectively? I'm not sure what the best move is here. It's really a little bit complicated. We could just play on intuition. I don't know. I want to just improve my king position. b6 or b5. Probably b5. Rook c6. Then he has even a5. This move I don't like, g6. I don't really like it for him. It seems like it makes more weaknesses in his king side. Now my king could actually walk in on the dark squares. If he plays h5, we'll have g4 at some point, maybe creating an outside pass pawn. I mean, this king side majority could be very beneficial. Is this a mistake? Probably not. But black has to do something fast here. As I said, like b5. I don't know, a5, b5. What are you gonna do? I'm just gonna walk in here if you don't do something. Ah. Okay, it's passive, but it might work temporarily. Now b4. If I can gain space with like a4, b4, a4, b5, a5, rook d8, something like that. I mean, this should be winning, but it's still not that simple. I didn't see this move, but it's okay. Looks like we can come back. Now, Yeah, is he like threatening a5? That's the question here. I'm just preempting a5. I can probably walk my king in here. Do I put my king back on g2 in this position? Or do I try to play more actively? My rook is going to be stuck in front of my pawn. So, yeah, I think it's a little bit tricky. I think I should try to stay as active as I can. But basically, it's really important that I get my rook on the side, not in front of the pawn. See, now my rook doesn't have to be stuck. My rook can come back. It can guard the pawn from the side. And my king can go forward and help promote. He's not threatening to cross over. Maybe this is a mistake. Rook h2. What am I doing here? Why don't I just play this move? Okay, then he comes over. So it's not that easy. King d3, rook b3 check, king c4, rook takes pawn, b5, rook down, b6, rook over, king c5. Maybe I even have this move. I'm playing this horribly. Alright, now it should be winning. But I think we both played this ending incorrectly. I don't know. Maybe I was always winning, but I'm not sure that this was correct. I felt like my technique was pretty shaky here. The general idea is right, but I don't think my execution was perfect. This move, for example, the computer says I should play rook b7, which is weird. I really thought I should put the rook on the side of the pawn. Here again, it wants to play what? b5. Actually, b5 might have been a better move. Yeah. In this position, I wasn't sure at all what the best move is for me. I ended up playing g4. The engine says king d5. I was afraid of king d7. King d5, king d7. I'm not 100% sure that I was winning for sure, if black was to defend perfectly. I think this is probably winning now. Alright, anyway, it was interesting. I have a lot of space with my king, you know, which wouldn't be the case in all endings, but it's probably a win due to my king spatial advantage. Aura Knight, Lousy Dirty Cheater, IK Corwin. This is a new opponent, I think. And Taranaga. Taranaga? Why am I calling him Taranaga? Maybe there was another player with that name. I don't think I've ever played this player. Taranga. So we did have a Taranaga or something like that. Aura Knight, whose rating is 2300. I'm white again. He's like 2300 in Blitz. This is a classical game. He's a good bullet player. Aura Knight, I don't remember what our score was. Now we don't have to see it. We've got a 1 draw with this account. Alright, I'm going to play e4. He said he's a solid player. Kitty Kitty Hiss Hiss. I just want to caution you guys, Kitty Kitty Hiss Hiss has been in the chat before, but just in general, when you do see a link, I just caution you to click on it at your own risk. Unless it's put there by me or one of the moderators. So I'm not responsible for what other people decide to link to the stream. Knight f3. Magnus Carlsen's favorite move, bishop b5 check. Not really. You had the better of you. I had the better of you on your old account. I definitely had a plus score, I guess, but I don't really remember how close it was. Or how many games we played. Do you have an idea? So the dragon, wow. So few people play the dragon against me here. We've had a few. I've played mostly classical dragon because I don't have the guts to play the main lines, the Yugoslav attack, without studying a little bit. I did play the white side of the Yugoslav attack a little bit years ago, but it's been basically like 15 years since I studied it. I'm not really a native e4 player, so I try to hand pick, like, as far as tournament chess goes, I really hand pick my opponents for e4 games. I don't just play e4 against everybody. Alright, I'm supposed to play knight b3. If you play the classical, you're supposed to play knight b3. I play the dragon with black sometimes because I play the accelerated dragon. I play all the sidelines, everything but basically like the mainline Yugoslav attack with black. And some lines of the classical dragon have given me trouble, particularly the line with bishop g5. I find to be the most testing because white is really putting pressure on the d5 square, which is the most important square in the Sicilian and probably all e4 openings. It's funny, like if you look at e4 games in the Roy Lopez, in the Sicilian, it's always about whether white can get control of the white squares, like d5 particularly. And in the queen pawn games, it's like the same thing. If you play d4, it's usually a question if you get control of e5. If you can maintain domination of e5 in the dark squares, white gets a big advantage. It's a link for Wacky Opening, just a lichess like link. Yeah, that's cool. Just, you know, make a disclaimer about like what it is. A6. A6 is a move. B6 is a move. Bishop E6 is a move. And bishop D7 is a move. I guess you have basically like 4 moves there for black. Now for my part, sometimes I've seen people play A4. It's not... I'm not sure it's even good for white to play A4. F4 with the idea of bishop F3, I think is the main line. We have to secure this E4 square. It makes sense though. It's like increasing the control of D5. was funny, like once I played the Accelerated Dragon against Sergei Kudrin, who's a dragon player. And even he, like, once played the Classical Dragon against me. That was weird. It just popped in my mind. Getting dominant control of like d5. Okay, so is b4 a threat? Not really sure. Am I supposed to play, another question, am I supposed to play a3 or not? Theoretically, I could play, it looks like I can play e5, but it's an optical illusion. If I play e5, pawn takes pawn, pawn takes pawn, queen b6 check followed by knight takes pawn. And king h1 is probably not a bad move. Yeah, queen e1 is an idea. If you want to pursue a kingside attack, it's not really my main focus here. It's not the Grand Prix attack. Yeah, I agree, like if I have total control of the board, maybe that's a good plan. But my main focus would be just kind of keeping maximum control of the center. Now I played knight d7, and that's abandoning the king side a little bit. But there's a threat of b4. It almost feels like I have to play rook b1. I could play a3. I guess that's less damaging. Rook b1 is playable. What else? Sacking the exchange. Okay, I mean, queen e1, I don't mean to criticize it completely. It may not be that bad, but... You want to retreat like knight d1 or something? I'm not an expert on this line. I just like it because it's active, but I don't really know the theory well enough. Queen d2 allows b4 though, and I'm just going to drop the pawn on b2. I mean, I can't do that. a3, b5 even. I'm not sure what the best move is. Just concretely defending the b2 pawn here with this move, rook b1. It feels passive, but I don't know what to do, about this. We can't just drop that, and I don't want to put my knight on d1. The knight is meant to go to d5, but I'm not going to just sacrifice my b2 pawn here for nothing. So, black, I mean, I don't think you can give this up here. With the king side kind of weak, it's very risky. You could try it, but that looks pretty over the top. Maybe it's possible. I would be scared to play bishop takes c3, honestly. Black's setup. Speaking of Kudrin, he actually likes to do the double fianchetto type of thing too. I always played bishop e6 with black on move 9 here. Bishop e6, just developing the pieces without moving any pawns. But I think the setup with bishop e7 is legitimate for black as well. I don't know what's going on. King Wiki, welcome. Son of a beach. It's a good name. Rook b1. The queen e1 was suggested. Queen d2. There's also like rook f2, rook d2 you see sometimes in classical dragon. I don't like having to play rook b1. I'll be the first to say it, but the options there include just dropping my b2 pawn, putting my knight on a4, putting my knight on d1, and playing a3, which actually I was thinking about a3 here. If I play a3, black can actually just play a5 anyway, and just, if knight takes b5, bishop takes b2, should be a good game for black. So now I should probably play knight d5, now that we have the chance to do so. This is kind of like the most important concept. Trying to sit a knight on d5, put pressure on the e7 pawn. Rook b1 was unfortunately basically a waste of time. I mean, if I had been able to play c3 without knight d5 and c3 without rook b1, I would save myself a tempo. Wonder when I play king h1 if I just play knight d5 straight up instead of playing king h1. Just go in with the knight and then play c3 like next move, pretty much no matter what. Just don't need to play king h1 maybe. We'll check after the game. There were some good players I played who played this line with white, at least in blitz. I remember Roland Schmaltz, the bullet expert, German grandmaster. Mohammed Al-Madiaki from the UAE. These were guys who played this line with white. It's so, it's like so positional and low risk. And I think the dragon players aren't really, that well prepared. They have to memorize like 30 moves of theory in the Yugoslav attack, but many times people, they don't really know these quieter positional lines as well. I had trouble. I would drift into bad positions, like against Kudrin. Basically something like this happened to me and I felt uncomfortable. And then the knight comes in here. First rook e1 or not? Just want to kind of tie black down. If he has to play f6, that's a very bad, obviously a very bad sign. I did just rob myself of the e1 maneuver. I don't think it's that big a deal here. It's queen e2, queen d3. Even f5, bishop g4 is another move that's possible. But it seems sort of weird to play bishop g4 without a clear plan. This is much more natural. Play knight c6 now, but the pawn may get lost in there. Guess there's no rush. He's also got knight b6 sometimes. But that would be a different story, I guess. Really sure what am I doing? a4. Is this a good move? Basically now it's just a blitz game. Forget about trying to play the best moves and just be practical. Earlier I was concerned, instead of knight d7, that black could have played b4 there. Now this was the thing that was making me a little bit worried. With the idea of pawn takes, I guess pawn takes and like rook c4, but it might not work tactically. I'm not sure. Queen takes a4. Knight b6. Queen b4, no good. Queen b3. Or just knight c6 here. Not really sure what I'm doing. Knight c5. An active move, but not necessarily best. It might have been better to play knight b6. I'm not sure. So, we've got the idea of the queenside trash compactor basically lurking here. Whoa. I could have played queen a4 at some moment. Maybe there right away would have been. Maybe that was more accurate. I don't know. Knight h7, attacking the pawn. This is sort of a weird move, but not that weird. Try to keep it simple. All right, I don't know. I mean, I think you had like reasonable counter chances for most of the game till the time pressure set in. The first position that I thought was here. Could you play b4? Well, not right away, but next move. Okay, this position. Can you play b4? I wasn't sure. I guess it doesn't work. Apparently, it just doesn't really matter. My space advantage. But it's interesting, because if pawn takes pawn, rook c4, right? I thought this was the most active try. I would have to realize that I have to find a different move and do something like this. Just let you take here. If you take, the b file opens for me. So after that, you played good. Well, when I played a4, I thought this was good, but you should have played knight b6 here. Yeah. This knight b6 move looked kind of problematic. According to the engine, you're almost equal there. You have bishop takes d4. Maybe that's not the only move. So after that, you got squeezed. I thought after knight c5, I'm slightly better. And then you had to like slowly just give me this. This isn't good. All right, interesting game. Lousy Dirty Cheaters up next. Who's actually, we've got subscribers. Aldisto. If anybody else is a subscriber, if I can't pronounce it, subscribers are not comment here on Monday. It's like a brand new mouse, but whatever you say, dude. All right. It's not a high-end mouse, but it's not bad. So that's the important thing, you know. Make sure you focus on the important things. We're trying to learn chess, and the focus is on the sound of my mouse. All right. Anyway, we'll try not to move the mouse so close to the microphone, okay? If that will make you happy. Subscribers, Aldisto. It's 6 plus 5. You know, if you put any mouse like right next to the microphone, it's gonna sound like you hear something. But I agree, it does kind of make a springy sound. All right, Aldisto versus me. It's 6 plus 5, chess 960. It works. That's the important thing. You're up, Aldisto. Aldisto's the only subscriber in the stream. No, Ayesta's here. Ayesta was here, but he didn't challenge me. He's talking about the game. If you guys subscribe, you can get first dibs on playing every stream. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, I'm doing blitz and classical chess. And what is this? Sicilian defense? That's my king on b8. I'll play 1 or 2 chess 960 games. Well, I don't want to just let him take over the center completely, so we'll play classical chess 960. I'm very sensitive about my mouse. No, I mean it's a pretty new mouse, but it does make a springy sound. You're right, but I don't think anyone noticed because normally I don't put it on the mic side. This last game I was getting really close to the mic side. It was a kind of intense game there, so. When I'm like recording a video or something, I pay a lot more attention to stuff like, you know, where my mouse is and if it makes a sound or not. But honestly, when I'm like live streaming, I lose like concept of things like that. I'm just kind of getting into the game and not really paying attention to outside ambulance noises and stuff. F4, King's Gambit, Aldisto. The King's Gambit, I could just take it and defend it like a dog. I really like the fact that my knight's coming to g6, dude. It's like, I'm just going to grab that pawn and just chew on it with knight g6. I'm coming out with knight g6 anyway. So, do I have any really weak points? I mean, there is no weak point, basically. Like, in the original, in normal chess, the f7 square is unprotected by everything but the king. I guess b7 we could argue is the weak point here. Do we take on g3 or just like play knight g6? It probably doesn't matter, honestly. But maybe my knights can bounce closer to the center. I don't know. Knight g6. Let's see. Bishop g5, probably not a good move. Knight g6. Take. I'm usually not a materialist, but what can I say? Okay, he's got a knight potentially landing on a powerful square on f5. That's the best thing he's got going here in this King's Gambit. Yeah, we'll try to get a louder mouse next time. Anyway, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday we're doing Blitz Classical Chess. Tuesday nights, tomorrow night, I'm doing every week a viewer tournament on the stream. So I think this week, I didn't really announce a time control for it. Maybe we'll do 5-0. I did like 5-3 last week. But for me, it's fun when we do like a time control that I play like when I'm just having fun. I like 5-0. We've got another knight. There's a couple issues here. First of all, g5 is not on because my queen is hanging on g8. Secondly, if I play knight e6, he's gonna like have d4, d5 possibly, basically gaining a lot of time on my pieces. That's the second problem. The third problem is knight g6 apparently allows like h4, threatening to undermine my knights. Now in that situation, I might be able to play knight g6 followed by h5. Actually, I could just snipe the pawn, so... What about queen f2? Yeah, I think we ought to go out of our way to hang on to this. Although now queen f2 starts to make sense. I guess what I'm getting at is, should I just like go to full scale retreat with like knight g6? Actually, knight h5 hangs a piece. Not a lot of good options here. Knight h3, attacking his queen. We can bounce it back through g5, but that doesn't do anything. Maybe the safest is just knight g6. Spending a lot of time on this. But it's important, you know? We're not going to get to do this over again, so there's no second chance here to mess this up and do it over again. One last look at knight g6, queen f2. Not a lot of options, really. Bishop g5, h4. I lose a piece. So things just get worse and worse. All right, we've got to go back straight away. And if worse comes to worse, I'll just sound the full-scale retreat with like knight e7. I mean, whatever. I spent a long time thinking about like more active options. I don't like playing passively, and I don't really like grabbing pawns, but I wasn't really certain this is a sound pawn sacrifice for white. I mean, he's giving me a whole pawn, and you know, for example, he's got to watch out for like d4. Again, bishop g5 doesn't work. Earlier I was mentioning this square. That's a really, I mean, I don't know. Aldous, though, he just intuitively sacks a pawn like that. That's pretty amazing, dude. I mean, in chess 960, how do you come up with that move? Like, if I have f4, I'm just going to intuitively sack this. Like in the King's Gambit, like we've known the theory for like 200 years. But like this is chess 960, man. I mean, how did you know that works? You just intuitively felt that? Like he didn't calculate it. He didn't use any time to play it. That's insane. I mean, you're just lucky or you just have an amazing intuition. But f4 looks like it's completely sound strategically. We'll see what the computer says, but I would be willing to bet that that his King's Gambit here is intuitively correct and fundamentally correct, I should say. I never would have had the guts to play that, though, not being able to have time to calculate it. I'm not sure, though, that this exchange helps him that much. He does have white squares. I have weaknesses. I mean, there's no doubt. It's like an e4, e5 game. Like a real chess e4, e5 game. So, he's got the center. Now my queen is out of play, but it is protecting these pawns. I'd like to get my bad bishop outside the pawn chain. Bishop takes d6, bishop takes e3. I'm pinning him to the d2 pawn on this diagonal. We can both castle on the queen side, or whatever you want to call it. I don't know what to call it, because it's not really the queen side, but you know what would be the queen side in normal chess. It looks like we're both probably going to castle over there. I am so happy to get rid of this. Like, I don't even have words for it. That knight was like a monster. And then we'll I guess we'll put our rook here and put some pressure on the e4 pawn. The only thing is, if I castle, he can play bishop f2, and the a7 pawn is weak. I'm practically, if I castle, I'm setting him up for this type of stuff. So we've got to take a time out to deal with that. We're threatening f5, knight f6, and other fun stuff. So maybe we're in okay shape here. I still think his pawn sack was good. Wow, castle's that way. Sometimes there are these surprise moves that you did not expect. He's stopping f5, obviously. What else can I do? It is rather difficult to defend e4. It almost looks like he has to play knight f2. The problem is my queen is out of play. d5, e5. Knight f2, d5, e5 works for him. Yeah, actually, I don't even want to play d5. I'm not playing d5. There's no way. How can I defend this position optimally? Knight takes e4 doesn't work. Castles hangs my a7 pawn. That pretty much sucks. So we're getting back. We're going to creep our queen back into play, kind of get on the white squares a little bit, and see if we can get the queen to d7. So I feel a very serious white square weakness here. And my queen is my worst piece. Okay, this rook isn't very good, but it's holding a7. Still, white has some lingering compensation for the sacrificed pawn. Yeah, castle put the king on c8. It's a serious problem. I didn't see any tactics. Anything with d5 would weaken my king, so I can't even consider it. Okay, now I have this move, perhaps, in some positions. He's got white square weaknesses. That's why, you know, one of the reasons why I want to put my queen on d7 to start probing all the white squares. Solid move. I mean, I'm up a pawn here. I have a lot of options. My knight is on a kind of bad position in a sense. Actually, both my knights are in bad positions. We're going to modify our plan slightly. Strong point the e5 and play f6 to nullify his f-file stuff. I could have played knight h5 there, I guess. Would have been interesting. Last move to go here. Trade a set of pieces. Now he's got knight f4. This is a really nice maneuver. This still was the longest game I had yesterday in my simultaneous exhibition. Now c6 is probably the lesser of the evils here. If there is a lesser of the evils, actually. Maybe not doing anything. Queen f7 or something. His queen's got to go away. I hate this move. I'll be the first one to say it. Yep. That's alright. We've got to stop him somehow. a5, knight c6. Looks like a5. Anyway, that a-pawn was just constantly hanging. He's made progress, but he missed this move. I mean, I guess he missed this move. I don't know. It's second pawn. I would prefer to take with the a-pawn here. He still has some... It's knight c4, anything. Sacking a piece, basically, for 8,000 pawns. Seems like an unnecessary risk to run. Now my king is going to be a little bit sketchy. But I can run to d7 if I have to, hopefully. We'll see what happens here. I could have sacked a piece with knight c4 for 800 pawns, but I don't know. I didn't feel like I was that desperate. Right now I've got to watch the a-file. d5. I'm not sure if this is good or not. Probably not. I guess not has been called. Knight takes. Has a problem. My whole position falls apart. But everything sucks. Now I'm worse. Wow. Positional genius. I'm lucky if I can hold on now. Whoa. My God. Actually, g5, does it just make my game worse? He's a positional genius, really. How did he make this stuff work? All right, what's going on now? I'm not really sure. This position is just really... It's gone like fully Twilight Zone. I think he kind of messed it up. All right, finally a kind of technical position. Not that different from yesterday's game. So what does this lose by force? G4 like the worst move ever. I have actually less time than he does. For the first time in a long time. Wow, G4 now. Maybe a blunder. Oh, threatening that. Not sure what the best move is. Oh, there. Quality versus quantity. Oh my God. What's happening here? I think I was like trying to find the only way to mess this up. All right, kind of an epic finish. Wild game, dude. Basically decided by time pressure. You were better as recently as 15 moves ago. Probably. Was it like 20 moves ago? Something happened in the ending where he had it together and then it kind of melted down. But maybe I misevaluated it. I don't know. So around here it was chances for both sides, it looks like. Here I thought he was slightly better. If we go back to this point. Anyway, crazy game, dude. I guess he wasn't really better, but he was at least equal. Nice, crazy game. That was close. All right. Lousy Dirty Cheater. Any other challengers? Ayesta challenge, who's a subscriber, guys. If you really enjoy the stream, it helps a lot if you support the stream by subscribing. If you can't afford it, I mean, it's fine. You know, you can just hang out with us and just support the stream by being part of it. But if you can afford it, I appreciate subscribers very much. We've got the subscriber stream on Thursday where I'll just play blitz and analyze games with the subscribers, a stream basically to give back to you guys. Also, check out my YouTube channel, Video Chess Training on YouTube. Ayesta is playing e4. This is a guy who, you know, he normally was playing always d4. And I've noticed that lately he seems to have gotten more aggressive. Maybe he's a very young player capable of changing styles. Normally you can't teach an old dog new tricks, and it seems like he's gotten, which is good. Hopefully he's getting better because of the stream, but he's gotten much more aggressive lately. Alright, so e4, c5. I'm not sure what he's got in mind today. Alright, I'll analyze the f4 from the Chess 960 after this game. It's a good idea. I'd like to take a look at that too. Was it just like bullshit, or was it really? It felt like a sound strategic pawn sacrifice to me. So don't let me forget one more time. Ayesta, what do you play in e4 Sicilian games? My name is International Master Willam Paschall. I am from the United States, but I'm living in Eastern Europe since 2004. I do go back to the States. In fact, I usually, for 2 months, this year I was streaming from July and August in the United States. Bishop b5. Yeah, this makes sense for a guy who's like a d4 player. I'm just trying to remember, maybe way back when he did play e4 against me. Now thinking about it, maybe he did play e4 before. I felt like lately he was playing d4 type of stuff. But if I go back in my mind to our very first games, yeah, maybe I'm lying. Our first game might have been a Rossalimo. Okay, I can't remember everything. Obviously, I think the first game he played against me was this, actually. So I'm kind of wrong to say he's always playing d4 and totally changing his style. It just felt like lately there were more d4 type of games. But looking back to like whenever it was, months ago, when I played him for the first time, I think I actually can't see it on the list here, but I think I actually lost against him our first game in a Rossalimo like this. I don't know why this variation is called the Rossalimo. I mean, Nicholas Rossalimo wasn't really that famous of a player. It seems kind of weird to name it after him. There were so many other players who played this. I mean, is anybody here from, like, I don't know, Russia or some kind of, yeah, Russia or Soviet country? Because I would think back in the old days, in the Soviet times, the Russians must have had a totally different name for this system. I mean, they definitely didn't call it like the Rossalimo. In Russian texts, I mean, it must have another name. What do Russians call it? Bishop e5. I just feel like there should be some famous player that should be named after, other than Rossalimo. Anyways, I was looking at Bishop g4 in an old book. It's not very good for black. This is considered to be, it was considered to be, and it's still considered to be the best. Annoying question, did you ever play against Karyakin or Carlsen or Kasparov? I only played with Carlsen out of those three. I think I've only been in the same room with Kasparov like once. Just for like a lecture or something. Very briefly. Played with Magnus in a rapid tournament in 2006 when he just had first gotten his GM title, and I lost a really close ending. Queen n7 against queen n7. He just had too much time. He had like 5 minutes to my like 2 and a slightly better queen ending I couldn't defend. It's not really normal to have like a queen ending with 7 pawns, but that was an interesting factor in that game. It's not an annoying question. I get the most annoying questions are, why do you live in Hungary and what do you do for work? What is your job, basically? I love that one. That's my favorite. And then the why do you live in Hungary? Alright, this is main line. Ayesta, I guess, probably knows this. Here we have two options. You can play bishop takes f3, or you can play bishop h5. I actually lost this position with white against Alexander Strapunski once. Don't ask me why I decided to play the white side of the... I've decided to play the white side of the Rossalimo against Strapunski. It's the only time I ever lost to him in like 4 games. The Ukrainian Grandmaster who moved to the US like 20 years ago. I have 4 games with Strapunski. I have like a win and 2 draws in this game that I lost with white. It was like okay, I probably played the Rossalimo like, I guess main line is bishop h5. I don't know though. I probably play the Rossalimo like against some weaker players a few times. Something weird about this position. Oh yeah, I played queen d1. How did it go? You know what Alex might have played against me? Getting the strange feeling like, did he play like knight d7 or something? That's not right. He could have played knight d7. Is that possible? No, I think he played g6 and I played queen d1. That doesn't seem right either. It was this variation though. I just can't remember the exact order of moves. I was threatening bishop h6 there. It's a known idea. But it was really a very strange decision to play an opening I barely know, you know, against a grandmaster. Although I used to do all kinds of impulsive things like that on a regular basis, to try to be unpredictable. But I just don't really recommend, like, in serious tournaments, why play something you hardly know, you know, against an experienced player? Good question, and I don't have an answer. Okay, so actually Alex had something with the queen b6 against me in our game, something similar to this. Queen b6 looks kind of hard for white to deal with. Queen b6, knight d2, queen takes b2. What does my queen get trapped? Queen b6, knight d2, queen takes b2, knight c4, queen b5, a4, bye-bye queen. Seriously? Queen b6, knight d2, queen takes b2, knight c4, queen takes c3, and my queen is almost gone. I might have some kind of tricks with like knight to d4 at some point. Probably best to just play this. I'm down to 4 minutes to 1. Whoa. So that's not an annoying question, you know, if have I played with people at all. But Kasparov, yeah, no. I mean, I played with like Carlsen, Nakamura. No Karyakin. Karyakin was a prodigy. I mean, he was, you know, you've got to consider this about Karyakin, that unlike Carlsen, I mean, he was a prodigy at an even younger age. Well, it seems like he was a prodigy at an even younger age. Karyakin had a lot of, he was at a high level when he was like 15. I think he was like a world record prodigy. He has like a world of experience. Something that people don't think about. Probably one of the reasons why he did so well against Carlsen in their match. I mean, he's like an old grandmaster in terms of his level of experience. You know, is like way beyond his years. It's easy to forget that with Karyakin. He has so many more games than the other players of his age in top tournaments and stuff, because he started a little bit younger. Ayesta is just like a pro in this position. What a weird setup for white. Now what am I supposed to do, like e5? He's pretty strong for his rating. So guys, I wasn't really thinking about the time control here. I was basically playing this game against Ayesta like it was 8+3. But he chose a kind of weird time control 6+3. I should pay a little bit closer attention. I was kind of playing like I had another 2 minutes, and I got myself in pretty bad time pressure. If you guys want to contact me, don't send me a message on lichess. Just let me know in the Twitch chat. This is probably an unrelated message, but I don't really like to read my mail on the stream. So if you want to contact me, want me to ask me a question while we're playing or while I'm streaming, it's better to just send a message on the Twitch stream. Now, this is a weird setup with his pieces here, you know, obviously, but if I play knight takes e5, he has rook d1. I don't know where to go now. He's played this like perfectly. It's not a variation I like for white, but I guess it's pretty solid. I couldn't imagine playing this system myself, although I did that one game. I mean, I might even end up losing a pawn here if I'm not careful. Notice how he's always got this pawn under surveillance. I don't like the way I played this. I should have stopped d4. But I got in time pressure, which I did not intend to do, talking too much about Karyakin and whatever. It would have been better to just play e5 or pretty much anything. I don't know. Queen c4 now. Knight d4. It's got me down to 10 seconds. Oh, man. Maybe knight f8. But I'm basically like paralyzed. White's play is flawless. He also won a great game against me in the simul yesterday. I don't like the way I played this. I would not repeat this again. Maybe I just have to give up a pawn and just play an ending like down a pawn, knight d4. I might be able to draw queen a4. That's an excellent move. I mean, I don't know if he wants to take this pawn on a6. It looks slightly dangerous to take that pawn. But this move, like in Zugzwang, what do I do? Virtual Zugzwang. And he's like fast too. I mean, he should be like master strength, the way he's played this game. I would gladly accept a draw. I'm just like worse here. He should be playing for a win. I misplayed it. Now his white squared bishop is really strong. I accidentally clicked resign. Sorry, I meant to click draw, but it's alright. That's embarrassing. My first ever accidental resignation. Alright, man. Good game. You're better here. You deserve it. 1.3, 1.4. You should not offer me a draw. Clear advantage to white. Let's see the analysis board. I don't feel bad about resigning, because objectively white has a winning position. Saying he made mistakes. Well, yeah, he repeated moves at the end. That's his only mistakes, are repeating moves at the end in what is essentially like a winning position. Yeah, it looks like bishop c4 is pretty devastating. Other than that, I think he played perfectly. Let's see where the theory ends here. So, d3 is best move, according to this opening explorer. Garry Kasparov versus Bashir Legrand. Bishop e3 best move, according to opening explorer. Garry Kasparov versus Bashir. Knight d2 best move, according to opening explorer. Now he played queen e2, which is interesting. This is apparently not the choice of Kasparov, but rather Michael Adams played queen e2. So we're following this game. Adams versus Jerzy Slabby. Where actually Jerzy beat him. Jerzy was my teammate in the French team championships once. I think I remember. No, I don't remember that actually. That was prior to 2011. It was probably like 2009 we were teammates. So let's see. Knight f3. Knight f3 is the second best move according to the engine. a3 was played for some reason in a bunch of games. Queen d1 seems weird once you played queen e2. Yeah, as I was saying, I should play e5 here, but I don't really like this position, to be honest. Win and walk Trunks and the Trompowski champion. We've played like 5 times in Budapest. He has +2, I think. Yeah, we have to play e5. It's a gross position though, where I have this like white square weaknesses. I don't really like this for black. So yes, a nice game there. You beat me twice in a row. Lousy Dirty Cheater, IK Corwin, Constant Change, Secret Caveman, Raging Tiger, Copina, Trouts, and Zenchess. Trouts and Zenchess. Zenchess just resubscribed. I know, Yesta, but you have a winning position. I accidentally resigned, but I kind of feel good about it because it was like yesterday when Soltigo offered me a draw in a winning position. I just resigned. It was fate that led me to resigning, I think. I don't like this position. You played a perfect game until repeating moves with queen a4, basically. I have to play e5 there. Lousy Dirty Cheater. Anyway, we're going to play Trouts and Zenchess. Zenchess, thanks for resubscribing. You were just learning this yesterday. Queen e2. I had never seen that idea before. I didn't really realize it was dangerous for me. But I never would have suspected you were just studying this yesterday. Okay, so next up is Trouts. We're gonna play d4 against him because I know he's pretty good in the Najdorf. Knight f6. Yeah, the last game, I promised to look at that other game. I'm still going to look at that opening of the Chess 960, guys, but I've got to remember, I keep getting distracted by losing. Trouts plays King's Indian. King's Indian, maybe he can still play Benoni. Grunfeld defense. The Grunfeld defense. Okay, so let's try to toss something out there he might not know. I've never played this line, seriously. I think Smyslov played this. Bishop d2. It looks really stupid, I mean, on the surface, but it's actually not stupid. it takes away like the normal knight takes c3 ideas from black. And white will just try to like take the center without worrying about knight takes c3 and the b takes c with a weak center or whatever you want to call it. Peter Svidler did some analysis of this line somewhere for black, like most Grunfeld stuff. I was looking at it a while ago, and his recommendations for black were pretty solid. I think if you can find the Svidler analysis somewhere, I don't know if he did it on videos or I don't remember now. Well, people are very motivated. Which way, Charlie? When they play against me here on the stream, they're taking it pretty seriously, even though it's like technically a casual game. You know, it's nice to beat a much higher rated player. It's pretty standard. I mean, you're always like a target when you're a higher rated player. Some people get intimidated, but other people get motivated when they're playing higher rated players. They're like, I have nothing to lose, you know. I'm not going to get nervous. There are different type of reactions. There were some lower rated players I would play that I would just beat them every game. Once you start beating people down, you know, they get kind of complacent after a while. But in the beginning, you know, oftentimes low rated players are very highly motivated. Okay, I just played knight f3. I'm not even sure if that's the right move. I think I just should play e4 there. And if he had castled, everything would be normal, but now he played knight c6, which makes it a little bit strange. Been interesting and fun. So let's see. I don't know. Knight c6 is a bit unusual. There are some lines of the Grunfeld where you do that, but normally you don't want to block your c-pawn from influencing the center, like in the Chigorin variation. Yeah, which way, Charlie? There are definitely a lot of players who play way worse than Ayeste, who are around 2200. But these guys, you know, they kind of are really into this. It's one thing if you're just playing like a low-rated player in a tournament, a random tournament, or just a casual game on lichess. It's kind of like, who cares, you know? Motivation is everything. Now I have to play d5, I think. I guess I could play bishop e3, but then bishop g4. Bishop e3, bishop g4. He also has e5. I'm not sure, but this can't be a bad move. The one obvious question to ask would be like, could I put my bishop on h6 if he plays knight e5 or, you know, whatever? You know, if he goes knight e5, take bishop h6, keeping his king trapped in the center. Is that worth it, you know, for white to waste the time? Probably worth it, yeah. But I mean, I simply played a bad move, you know. I just resigned. I mean, he didn't actually finish me off. Maybe he wouldn't have been able to do it, but he did play well. I've played that variation a lot, actually. It's very, very common. E6 is a problem. I wonder if it's better for me to just play like f4 or something. I never play this line. Okay, I'm just kind of having some fun here. It would be good to know it perfectly. You know, I'm just playing on intuition. Bishop h6, e6 looks pretty good for black, actually. It seems like he should have really decent counterplay there. Though he still can't castle kingside in a normal way. I'd also have maybe bishop b5 check. So I don't know, let's try it. Yeah, but I mean, there's certain players who I've played like 100 games. I'm not going to be suspicious of them. When somebody's like the first time I play them, I would be, oh yeah, maybe this guy is like a trolling me with a computer or something. Um, I'm as paranoid as the next person when it comes to cheating online. But when I know certain players, I don't have to worry about that. Trouts, yeah, I mean it's unfortunate. Like we can never have like a rated tournament online. One of my students was telling me the other day that he was going to play like a U.S. chess rated tournament on chess.com. I was like, what are you talking about? How could you possibly have a tournament online that's rated like over the board rating? I think that ICC was doing that for a while, but with like rapid tournaments. But I mean, it's just a fantasy. Like you can't have rated games online. There's no way. That was the first I had heard of the U.S. Chess Federation having some kind of partnership with chess.com. I still didn't know what he was talking about. Maybe it was just a mistake or something. I had never heard of this. It's not something that's really advertised. But anyway, I'm getting on a tangent here. Don't get me started with with computer cheating. No, most of our regulars here, I'm very confident, are legit. Occasionally, we've had some weird happenings. In my viewer tournament, there have been some weird players. By the way, the viewer tournament tomorrow night, Tuesday night, 7 p.m. CEST. Trouts, this is a little crazy, dude. This is a little crazy. Like, F5 here with your king in the center. Wow. Okay. But, there's some basis to it. Pawn structure-wise, I kind of like it. But I don't know if you can really afford that, here in this spot. Okay, he's undermining the e4 square. Maybe there's something to this. What am I going to do? Sack a pawn, f4, bishop takes c3, b takes c, f takes e, c4. Or even queen d4. It's a little like a Gingy Indian. It's like his dark squares are so weak, though. Bishop b5 check is possible, too. It doesn't really do anything. Just helps him develop. Queen d2. This is a really ballsy move, but I just can't believe that that's principally correct. So I'll sack a pawn, I guess, to try to punish it. What else can I do? Now he's going to have to play bishop takes c3 and then take on e4, and I'll play like either queen d4 or c4. Maintain my center and keep the dark squared bishop, and I think this is dangerous for black. No bullet. Chess.com news. Chess.com to host USCF quick rated play. Oh god. Yeah. The ICC had similar tournaments, but I wouldn't imagine like that could be really viable. I mean, so many people would cheat, it's like ridiculous. If there's real motivation, I mean, they'll definitely cheat. Give them a reason to cheat, basically. I really wish we could have legitimate tournaments. Centralization. It's going to be very hard for black to shake this queen from d4. I mean, I can also castle queenside just to bring my rooks in the game very quickly. Although I have to watch out for like this probably. That's a good square for his queen actually. So I'm not sure I'm going to play. I'm not sure I'm going to play that. Actually, queen d6, I just gave him a really good idea. This is not a move you should spend too much time on. Just Don't tank when like it's a forced only move. You've got to play rook g8. King d7 is out of the question. You've got to play rook g8 and play it quickly. Key to time management is instantaneously playing forced moves. Okay, Trouts just went berserk. He went berserk. I think he forgot he could play rook g8 or something. I already gave a take back today. So we're out of take backs. I only do like one take back every stream. Why didn't you play rook g8? He wants to take back. Alright, he is a subscriber. Subscribers get one extra take back per stream. He got the subscriber take back. That was just... You can't play e5, dude. Why not rook g8? I don't understand what the problem with that move is. It's so natural. I know that it's a great square, but I do it all the time in the Gingy Indian. Maybe c4 isn't the best move. Maybe I should go here. But that allows bishop g4 with gain of time. This queen d6 idea is really irritating me. Bishop b5 check doesn't help. I don't want to trade pieces here, and I have to protect d5. Queenside castles. Maybe I'm being paranoid with like... Well, there's also bishop g4 anyway, which is irritating. I think this is actually playable for Trouts. Okay, my king can meander somewhere like f2. It's not like queen d6 is that deadly, I guess. I can just play like king f2. Queen d6. Queen takes e4. Maybe I shouldn't even bother with that. But his position is playable. Maybe rook d1. Queen b4 check. Okay, I can play an ending where I'm just temporarily down a pawn. This is... feels dangerous. You're asking for g4. Not just asking for it, but I mean it's pretty much inevitable that h3 g4 is going to happen. What do I want him to play? Well, queen d6. Probably queen d6 first. The main idea is c5, queen takes d5. I think we'll see with the computer after the game that Black had some play here, but now he's gonna get squished. That's kind of passive, but what do you want him to do? This is not that trivial pursuit. You got to check on a5. Oh no. I may have seriously messed this up. I think trading queens is a good idea at this point. I seriously screwed up my position. Now he has a very firm blockade. He's actually like better. Oh my god. I seriously let him off the hook. I was really trying to get you to take that exchange. He's blundering. Time pressure. God, this was awful. I was totally winning, then I was like lost. Now it's some kind of perverse technical position where I don't know what's going on. Maybe I'm better still. It's probably a draw. Oh, this was bad. All right, Trouts. This was bad. Bad by both of us. I underestimated you. How do I make progress here? Opposite colored bishops. Just trying to run him over on the clock. What am I supposed to do? It's hard to break through, isn't it? Yeah, I mean, the important thing is that I win. That's not how you play the game. Alright, man, you were better at the end. This was terrible. I hoped you would take the rook on h1, but you didn't want to take it. I was totally winning here, and then I played this, which overlooks queen a5 check. So that kind of messed up my position. Queenside castles is over. Let's go back to the opening and take a look, though. What's really happening? I'm supposed to play e4. Okay, this is the first thing. I didn't play e4. I wasn't paying attention. Then he plays a strange move, knight c6, which actually has a decent score for black. Let's see what happens. e4. Viktor Mikulevsky played this once back in 1998. That's strange. Okay, knight b6, d5, knight e5, knight takes e5, bishop takes e5. And here I played bishop h6, which obviously wastes time, but it has a principled idea behind it. And if e6, I was thinking bishop b5 check, but maybe I was wrong to even consider this. e6, queen d2, I probably have to play. This is a crazy move, Trouts, f5. Here I decided to sacrifice a pawn, and it's interesting. Now you must play rook g8, and I don't know, c4. So my analysis was queen d6 here. That's best move according to the computer. With the c6, maybe better, actually. Wow, c6 with counterplay. It's not clear I'm even better here. I gotta believe white's better. I don't know. I mean, I have space, 2 bishops, but I am down a pawn. Okay, guys, I want to take a look. I want to take a look at that chess 960. We were playing against Aldisto. Before we go on to the next game, I promised everybody I would check the gambit he played in the opening here. He played this move quickly, so apparently we've got the chess 960, opening book there. Okay, let's go back a second now. So in this position, all these are lichess games. f4 was played 6 times, and white has a positive score with it. But is it sound? Here he played g3. This guy, former player, is one of the strongest chess 960 players on lichess. He actually played this in a game last year, so that sells this pretty well. But it looks like objectively d4 is another way to play the position. The computer thinks they're both interesting. Not clear. Do you have enough for the pawn or not? Let's see how far we followed the game. Well, I played knight g6, which is a new move. Yeah, it's hard to decide which is best there, taking or playing knight g6. It actually looks about the same difference, basically. Either way, you're going to lose a little bit of time or help the other guy develop. So, the former player was playing a much lower rated guy in this game. Mr. Paul said, why exchange queens in that last game? Well, I mean, my king could be in danger if I don't. There was a knight coming to f5. Yeah, okay, anyway, this is interesting, but it's objectively, the computer doesn't think it's the best. It doesn't think that f4 is really fully sound, which is interesting. Kind of like the King's Gambit in normal chess. Alright guys, I'm streaming for another 40 minutes. I'm not going to be able to play everybody. Zen Chess is a subscriber. We're going to play him first, then we'll play a couple other guys. We've got too many players in the list to play everyone. We'll probably play like 3 more games max here. Okay, Zen Chess, you're up. You're black, which is nice, because it seems like I'm always playing the white side of the Najdorf lately. E4. We played a couple Caro-Kanns. You played the Grand Prix attack against the Sicilian. What else? I don't think I ever played an E5 game against you. I don't normally play E5, but sometimes for fun. Which way, Charlie? I take back my assessment. Which game are you talking about? Let's play the Petrov. Petrov is solid, but it's not really dangerous for white. It's a tough opening to beat a lower rated player with. I just hope that we don't have like this Queen E2 nonsense. Please don't play that. You know, there's a position where white can force an endgame with Queen E2, Queen E7, and white has a tiny advantage. If you want to draw against a strong player in the Petrov, that's the easiest way to kind of guarantee it. But that's not a very ambitious way to approach the game, I guess. So anyway, this is like a main line, which is much more interesting. I don't know the theory in the Petrov defense or E4, E5 as well as, let's say, the Sicilian or even some other things. Like, I probably know the Caro-Kanns second best. Things like the modern defense, Alekhine. Some third string openings that I play occasionally. Here we go with Bishop E7 now. This is the main move. White has a whole host of ways of playing here, but the main line is C4. What do I think of Bishop F5? I don't know. Never really analyzed it, Ayeste. But in this position, Bishop F5, I assume that it's dubious for some reason, because it's not a main move. I don't know. There must be something wrong with it, basically. Although things change, like evaluations change. They used to think that the Berlin defense was bad. I actually play this line with white, Zen Chess, so I respect your choice of systems. I would play the main line like Zen Chess as well. There are 2 moves in this position, A3 and Knight C3. I don't know which one is better. They're both slightly different. You might even be able to play C takes D there. Maybe 3 moves. So anyway, let's see here. Bishop F5 and Bishop E6 are both variations, I think. At this point, it's been a long time since I looked at this, though. I can't really remember the theory. I'm a little bit concerned about Queen B3 coming in at some point. If I play like Bishop F5. Well, in that case, we'll go with the Karpovian Bishop E6. This feels a little more solid than Bishop F5. Speaking of Bishop F5, Ayesta was asking about a totally different line. I haven't looked at this in a long time. So guys, check out my YouTube channel, Video Chess Training on YouTube. I upload the streams there. Tomorrow night is a subscriber, viewer tournament. It's going to be like 5-0 this week. I think I decided. It's fun. I like the time control. Sometime like maybe next week I'll make it a longer time control. 7 p.m. Central European Summertime. See, bishop f5 would have threatened things like putting the knight on c2 sometimes. Anyways, this is all mainline, I guess. It reminds me of something else. I guess it reminds me of the Alekhines or Alekhines defense a little bit for black. White has a strong center, but they're kind of like hanging pawns. So black has to be very careful how he handles these pawns. You know, it potentially advancing against him. And white has to be careful as well. Years ago, I used to play computers, like training games, and I had a lot of games where I played the white side of the Petrov against the computer, and I was able to like hold it to a draw, usually, which was a good result. Some old Fritz 7, Fritz 8 type of stuff, 15 years ago. Okay, Rook B1. Sometimes we can sack that pawn, but Knight A5 is definitely a move. Rook B8 is definitely passive. B6 weakens my position a lot. I really don't know what the best is here. Alright, I'm just not sure theoretically what the right move is for black. B6 weakens my white squares a little bit. It's less weakening to play Rook B8. Knight A5 puts the knight on the side of the board. I mean, whatever you do, you're making some kind of concession here. But I don't have this line committed to memory. This far is about the end of my... Knight C6 is the end of my... Okay, I mean, I think that CD is probably the main line for white. CD, bishop takes D5. And then, oftentimes I remember seeing like Knight D2 played. Rook E1 is another idea. I'm not sure that Rook B1 is a main move. That's why I'm a little bit confused. What about D takes C4? It's just bad for my structure to trade like the B7 for C4, I would assume. You know, this exchange of this for this looks unhealthy for black in a structural sense. That would, you know, if I had more time, I could think about this on a strategic level, like much more deeply, and calculate as well. But just on playing in generalities here, I mean, I don't like having, you know, my structure get busted with Rook takes B7. So this is not a very constructive move for me, though. You know, B6. Maybe it can help support C5 later on, but other than that, it's just basically a weakness. But I don't know, maybe it's better to play Knight A5. Rook B8 is the move that I hate the most because it just like puts my rook on a passive square without any potential. It's even like vulnerable to stuff like bishop on this diagonal. Okay, Queen A4. Now, you know, obviously I can play Knight A5. I mean, his justification might be that he can play, I don't know, what's his justification? Like Queen A4, Knight A5. What other move do I have, basically? I'm kind of giving up the E5 square, but it's not the end of the world. And I was looking at CD. Actually, I was looking at C5. I forgot. And then Bishop D7. Bishop B5, C6. with the idea of b takes c. That's about as far as I got in my analysis. I don't even know if this is good or not, but basically I'm going to break his pawn structure. And that's at least some sort of achievement. I wonder if I had a better move, though. If bishop f5, I suppose they go here. When the rook can like move laterally, it may not be that inconvenient for him to have me play bishop f5, basically. So I don't think we're going to find too many games in the like chess database with this exact position, but there might be one or two. Again, my bet is that rook b1 is uncommon. Now here I was talking about c6, but maybe that's a mistake. Maybe I should be exchanging this piece. It is a bad bishop. Bishop takes, and then c6. The only thing is he can play like queen c8. Now, that's probably not a big deal. So maybe this is a good exchange for me. We hope he doesn't sack an exchange or some crazy stuff. Looks like he could, though. Maybe I shouldn't rush with like c6. He puts his rook on b5. We should maybe take care of other business, like just bishop f6. This bishop's coming out to f4, though. Kind of unpleasant. Maybe I can play like rook e8. Just take the open file. I'm thinking about, okay, queen is different. The queen is different. He's not really threatening anything. Queen a6. In the event of c6, queen a6. I mean, there are a lot of endings I could practically force here. What's happening after queen a6? Queen c8. Takes, knight c4, rook b7, bishop takes a3, for example. He has a rook on the 7th and the threat of f7 in those positions. So I'm not sure I should necessarily play queen c8 right away. But still, this is coming in. You know, it looks like white's slightly better there. What if I just take on c5? See, that's the problem. Actually, what is the problem? If I take on c5, am I just winning a pawn? Am I? Am I partially? Am I just winning a pawn here? This was not my original plan, but it's kind of like, well, why not? He's not threatening anything. I mean, he could play knight e5, but whatever. I mean, this is a slight problem for white. He's ahead in development, true enough. He sacked a pawn for development. Rook e1, bishop f4. What are we doing here with white? He still has no threats. Knight e5 to attack my c6 pawn. Fine. It's a developing move. Now a3 is like hanging. I am a little paralyzed, admittedly. Slightly paralyzed. Pawn takes pawn. We got a time advantage. If I play knight c4, it lets his rook on the 7th, with giving him, you know, that will give him some play. I guess the obvious question is like pawn takes pawn, knight takes, bishop takes a3, just trying to win a pawn. Fully greedy variation. He could also do just like pawn takes pawn, but There's still no concrete threat for white. He took back with the pawn. So even if he gets a rook on the 7th, it's kind of like, well, big deal. What are you going to do to me? Bishop takes a3. What's going on? Just take material. I overlooked this. That's kind of a serious issue. Okay, I have bishop e4. Very likely I'm going to end up having to lose 2 pieces for the rook. I could play it straight away, like knight c4. I didn't see rook a1. I wasn't looking for him to go backwards here. Well, even if he wins 2 pieces for a rook, I still have 2 pawns for it, so it should be okay. Material equality, in a sense. We can keep him off of e5. I'm sure that I missed something better, most likely. This square is very key. I mean, I can't let pieces in there. Two pawns and a rook for 2 pieces. It's always dependent on the position. Usually the 2 pawns is a little bit advantageous. 1 pawn is unclear. Usually 2 is more than enough. But we need some activity. How about like a5? He doesn't seem interested in that pawn. Can't imagine why. Okay, it's a really hard position for both sides now. Oh, that I didn't expect. I definitely expected bishop e3 blocking the e-file. But this is risky for both sides. He's got a family fork going on. Nice. Doesn't want the pawn. I mean, objectively, it seems like white might be slightly better. Blockading. He has that move. so awkward. I'm not better here. I'm probably worse. Of course, f4. Whoa. All right, you want to play for a win? Whoa. Whoa. Risky to play for a win, but I mean, you probably were justified. I think it was better for white. I definitely blundered the 2 pieces for the rook there. I don't know objectively what was going on. The computer may say I'm okay, but I was worried. It says that I'm worse there. After queen a1. It's close though. Good game. Okay, guys, last game for today. Lousy, dirty cheater. It looks like. Unless it's really a short game, you know. If we finish before 12:30, I'll play another one. But that was an epic game. Good game. Classic Petrov. I blundered 2 pieces for the rook. Nice nice pawn sacrifices though. Mr. Paul, I don't like d takes c4. I said that already in the stream. Oh, I think you. All right, you already got that answer. As far as c4 was possible. c4 was interesting. I'm not sure about that. This is a bad move by black, transposing to the Marshall defense. You're not supposed to play d5 in Grutfeld type positions until white's knight is on c3, unless it's some special position like white's playing a fianchetto system or white's playing something like f3. You need justification for putting the knight on d5, basically, because it's just going to get hit by the pawns. You're not going to get to exchange pieces here. In the main lines of the Grunfeld, you need to exchange pieces. Like Mamedyarov has played this for black. He's one of the only players crazy enough to do that. But generally speaking, this is not a great line for black. So unless you're like Mamedyarov, I would refrain from trying to do this. This is kind of a new idea of mine. I'm not sure if it's even good, but I want to provoke black to weaken themselves with bishop g5. I'll have to check in the database if it's been played before. I have played it in similar positions recently. Maybe not this exact position. That was a good game. Zencha should have... Well, maybe with the time situation, he should have taken the draw. I mean, if it was a situation where we both had a lot of time, you know, he could play for a win, but it's like if you both have seconds left, I mean, it's a kind of sharp situation. Then again, what's there to lose, you know? But the game is decided essentially by the clock. c6 is passive. You know, I don't know what to suggest. Maybe f5, taking a page out of Troutz's book, is the most dynamic. That's what Mamedyarov normally does in these type of lines. He tries to play f5, and if e5, the white squares get kind of like blockaded on this diagonal. So if you're gonna play this opening, I think you should be playing for f5. As weird as it looks and as dangerous as it looks, it's probably black's best. Still, he can play it, but I mean, I think that c6 is a slightly slow move. Not that different from my game with Troutz earlier today, who's playing another game of his own. So tomorrow night, guys, 5-0 viewer blitz tournament. In the past, I'd always played like bishop e2 or bishop e3, but I was thinking like last week about this bishop g5 idea. Maybe we should induce black to weaken themselves with h6. Now, I can castle queenside. That's definitely the sharpest move. Probably justified here, though. Not my usual modus operandi, though. I kind of like having my cake and eating it too. So, getting some play without risking my whole life, basically. Bishop takes a6 is possible. It would mash his pawn structure. It's not a bad approach here, actually. Let's do it. I'd like to play bishop h6, but it looks like I can't because of knight c4, unfortunately. It's debatable whether it's worth it for me to give up my bishop for the smashing of his pawn structure, but I think it's one of many different ways we could play the position. You could go all in and castle queenside for a full out like maniac attack. I think that's better for white too. Also bishop a6, bishop h6, excuse me, here after knight a6. This is perfectly sound, trading off his bishop on g7. Probably as good as anything. So they're different approaches. He wants to play bishop a6. That's a garden variety bishop. There's also a5, a4 maybe. I'm a little concerned about c5. I'd like to play b3, but I can't without allowing c5. It's kind of frustrating. b3, c5. Maybe I could play bishop g7, bishop h6 there. Wow. Actually, b3, c5, d5. What am I afraid of? Let's go for it. Now, rook placement is a good question. This looks kind of passive. Maybe we should go here. The only thing is I have to watch out for future bishop e2 moves. If I ever move my knight. Anyways. So far, so good for both sides. He has some counterplay. This bishop, though, will it be a factor or not? Not really clear. In an endgame, he could be in trouble. Okay, I feel like here now it's definitely time to play bishop h6. He could have avoided that exchange by moving his rook first to like e8, but it's not a great square for his rook. But it's a very, very powerful piece, so I think this exchange is good for me. Then I'm bringing the other rook over here. Slowly, black's pawn structure could prove problematic if he doesn't get any kind of active counterplay. So, tomorrow night viewer stream. Wednesday and Friday I have more blitz and classical chess. Usually I play unusual openings on Wednesday, 10 a.m. CEST. Tomorrow night, 7 p.m. CEST. It will be a viewer tournament, 5-0 blitz for everybody, just for fun. We finished a simul last night. Ayesta was the cleanest winner. Bishop h6. I don't know, I kind of feel good about this position now. Black doesn't have any counterplay. There's this mystery bishop on a6. Is that a good piece? It has an active diagonal, but it's like a ghost, you know. If you could distract the knight from c3, I guess you can get bishop e2 in and be very happy. But if this piece doesn't find an active job, it's going to be a very big liability for black in any kind of endgame with no pawn breaks and a lot of pawns like broken. The bishop is going to be worse than a knight, very possibly. Two knights versus bishop and knight. Now we're just playing rook c1 and all our pieces are in the game. He doesn't have e5 as far as I know. We can move the queen to somewhere like this or this. You know, obviously now that's a possibility, but I think he has two weaknesses in a sense. King position, the isolated pawns. Still not that easy for me to exploit it. Maybe maneuvering. Strange move here, queen g5. It looks oddly difficult for black to meet that. The Emery Tate, like knight a8, is recommended. He'll probably just play a4 anyway. So I allow a4 if I play that. I mean, a4 may be a good move for him anyway. Enough to the point I would even consider playing a4 myself. But that's risky because I put the pawn in the wrong color. Alright, whatever. We got to do something. We're running out of time. He has to play a4 or knight a8. Our queen is very well placed on a5. We could play like rook back to a1, switch to this weakness. Knight d7's not on. Occasionally you might get an attacking plan with like knight h4, knight f5. But I feel like he can meet that somehow. This sort of idea, he just has d5 protected too many times for that to ever work. We're better, but it's still not that easy. I like a4. If knight takes a4, he undoubles his weakness. He doubles my pawns. I mean, it's not that bad. Probably b takes a4 would give him some squares. Okay, this is just bad. I'm just winning a pawn. So you have to do a4. I mean, knight a8 is out of the question. It's just too passive. a4 was forced. Now he just lost a pawn. There's really no justification. I could even play queen a5 and trade queens. His bishop has no squares. This is lost for black. That's and a4 is an idea he should be thinking about anyway. This is just a really perfect scenario for it. You know what just occurred to me? Maybe it doesn't work. I'm just lecturing about a4, but let's make sure now. If he plays a4 here, I play queen a5 anyway. I can win a pawn. The problem is a4, queen a5, queen b7, and if knight takes a4, knight takes a4, queen takes a4, he has bishop e2 at the end, doubling my pawns. Okay, objectively I'm winning. I move my rook to d2. He plays bishop takes f3, g takes f. But with the double pawns around my king, my pawn advantage is kind of not as strong as like just being up a pawn for nothing. He would have had some counterplay there. Queen g5 was a good move, but he had that, you know, that counterplay, and he missed it. Now he avoids the trade of queens, which is smart. If bishop b7, queen e5 check, I'm just up a pawn and ending, basically. So when you lose material like a pawn for nothing, I mean, it's really important that you do everything you can to keep the pieces on the board and keep the game complicated. Sidestepping any future bishop e2 here. In other words, I can play like knight a4 without worrying about that coming down there on e2 while keeping my d4 pawn protected. A lot of people might play like rook e1, but that would leave this pawn unguarded. Then I could never move my other knight, you know, so you want all pieces to be mobilized. We're winning. He's got a bad bishop. I mean, this piece isn't really a bad bishop in the classical sense, that it's hemmed in by its own pawns, but it's always a problem in so many openings. The Sicilian, the Benoni, the Queen's Gambit, you could just name, you know, the French defense. It's the Queen's bishop, if you want to call it like in a descriptive sense. The Queen's bishop, it's the most likely piece to be a problem of all the pieces in the game, in all chess games. Okay, now we're really well placed here. Knight a4. How to go forward? It's not that easy. I think that he should avoid exchanges of pieces. I'm not even certain this is a good move at all. So knight f6, probably. I can't afford to play f3. No, he shouldn't exchange. It makes my life... It just makes my life a little bit easier. Well, I'm not sure about this moment. I need to go here, maybe. Now there's a little bit of counterplay against the d4 pawn. I do have this, though. And I also have, like, knight versus... the concrete concept of, like, knight versus bad bishop. Straight up. More or less. In a very classical sense, if I can go like here, it's a disaster for black. So he can try to play like e5, but I guess he might ultimately lose control of the open file there. Now knight a4. Yeah, it's really bad. Now what is he going to do? There's this square, and his knight is hit, and it's like everything is hit by this knight c5. Literally family fork. No defense. So yeah, if we go back to that position before we finish up the stream for today, well, even right here, I mean, this is a bad practical move for black. I think he should play knight f6. Probably keep pieces on the board. The computer might not agree, because the computer can only think in terms of what is objectively the best move. But when you're down material, I think it's better to play like a practical move than maybe what's like objectively the best move. But anyway, like the key moment here was back when he played h6. You have to play a4 here. I mean, unless there's something wrong with that move tactically. Yeah, you see? The computer did what I would have done, or it recommends what I would have done. The computer actually says c5 for him. Maybe that's a better move, but I thought a4, queen a5, and he can't even take here. So now he has to play queen b7, only move. And if I take this, there's knight takes a4. I thought queen takes a4. Bishop e2, rook d2, bishop takes f3, g takes f3, which is a position where black has some practical chances, you know, to save the game, because my king side is messed up. Objectively, white is still better. A pawn is a pawn, but I thought this was a reasonable chance for lousy, dirty cheater. But going back to the opening, yeah, here you'll see Mamedyarov twice. Check it out. He beat Frezhine and he beat Kozubov. Okay, Kozubov wasn't that high rated. So Mamedyarov doing this with black, it's really insane. But I played bishop g5. This is actually the computer's first thought. Then it changes its mind. But it's interesting. No one's tried this move amongst masters. I don't really see anything wrong with it. So it's a new idea. Knight c6 perhaps, pressuring d4. Maybe that's what Mamedyarov would do. It makes sense. d5, kind of similar to my game with Trouts. It's also similar to the Scandinavian. Knight takes e5, bishop takes e5, queen d2, or bishop e2, with a small advantage to white. So anyway, guys, we will see you tomorrow night with our next stream. We'll have a viewer tournament here on lichess. It'll be 5-0 blitz, 7 p.m. CEST. Thanks for viewing and watching and playing. Sorry I couldn't play everybody in the waiting list. And thanks for just you know, hanging out with us. And I'd also like to thank everybody for subscribing to the Twitch stream. If you guys want to make a donation via PayPal, that's appreciated too. It's not obviously mandatory, but does help. And also check out my YouTube channel, Video Chess Training on YouTube. Thanks a lot, guys, and see you Tuesday night. Bye-bye.